One of the biggest things a toxic relationship robs you of is the freedom to live life on your own terms. In order to keep the peace with the toxic person in our lives, we often have to give up our own wants and preferences in exchange for whatever it is that the toxic person prefers, just so that we don't set them off. Over time, this can make it so that we don't even know what it is that we want anymore, because we've had to give in to the needs and preferences of the other person so much. That's why one of the biggest steps to healing from a toxic relationship is getting reacquainted with your own wants and preferences. In day-to-day practice, this means figuring out who you are, how you like to spend your time, what your values are, and what's important to you. But just because these are big questions doesn't mean that you have to answer them in such a serious big way. You can get to the answers of these questions by first answering all of the smaller questions about yourself, like what kind of food you like to eat, how you like to spend a Friday night, what kind of movies do you like to watch, what temperature do you like to keep your home at, who are the people you like to surround yourself with. Because while it may seem like these are small questions that have nothing to do with the bigger questions of who you are as a person, it's actually by paying attention to these smaller questions that you ultimately get to know yourself and are able to answer the bigger questions of who you are and what's important to you. So don't overlook this part of the healing process, and don't panic if at first you really can't identify what it is that is your preference, and not just a preference that someone else expects you to have. If you give it enough time, you will eventually figure out the answers to all of these questions. The key, though, is to allow yourself to feel safe enough to experiment with what the answers might be for you, and to resist the urge to get rid of the loneliness you might be feeling by jumping into another relationship too soon. You really need to take the time and the space to define yourself on your own terms, so that someone else doesn't come along and try to define you in whatever way serves them best. That type of dynamic is a recipe for getting into a hugely toxic relationship. So remember, you are worth taking the time to get to know. And doing this work is one of the best things you can do to prevent getting into another toxic relationship. So tell me in the comments, what helped you heal from a toxic relationship, and what kind of work are you doing right now to prevent yourself from getting into another toxic relationship? Also, check out my YouTube page for more tips on how to build better relationships. Thanks again.